the first candidate to start off. It's going to be Betsy Kramer. She has 4 minutes of an introduction. The timer's in the middle. Candace, Rickson.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming tonight. Thank you, Medlock Bridge community. Thank you, Tom. I guess you are the person who is moderating. Okay. Anyway, my name is Betsy Kramer, and I am the candidate for State House 50, Johns Creek in Alpharetta. I've lived in Johns Creek for over 22 years on Bice Road. Let me give you a little bit of history of where I come from. I'm originally from Quincy, Massachusetts. I was born and raised there. And it's also the city of the presidents John Adams and John Quincy Adams. I graduated from Bentley College with a degree in accounting. And in 1980, I was moved to Atlanta by CNS Bank. In 1995, I was recruited to be on the team that started the first bank on the internet, Security First Network Bank. And with them, I actually pioneered bill pay that some of you might actually use today. So the work that I did in 95 and 96 is the basis for today's global internet banking and bill pay systems. I was also very busy in 1990s as I met my husband Steve, and we're going to celebrate our 25th wedding anniversary next week. Thank you. Anyway, we have 2 children. Both of them attend Northern Arizona University in Flagstaff, Arizona. I am retired, and I have, over the past many years, I have been involved in the community, and I've been on many boards of different organizations. Being retired gives me the opportunity to spend as much time I need to dedicate to things that I'm involved in. Not only was I involved in the community, but I was involved in the Republican Party from all levels. In fact, just last week, or 2 weeks ago, I resigned as the first vice chair of Fulton County Republican Party. And for a while last year, I was the acting chairman. That said, people who know me know that I am a hard worker and I get things done. So I just lost my train of thought, I'm sorry. But anyway, let me tell you why I think that I am the candidate to be for Georgia House District 50. I stand for a lot of things, but I'm not going to go over every single one. We'd be here all night. So let me tell you, I have been involved in voter integrity, so I want all legal votes to be counted. Really? Oh, I have 1 minute left? Okay. All right. I want parents to have parental rights. I want people to feel safe leaving restaurants, stores, and bars. And we need to maintain a full police department so we can put the criminals behind bars. I stand for capitalism. Our country is based on free market principles, and that's very cool. Anyway, free market principles. And my parents owned a small business, so I understand what it takes to run a small business. My father owned one for almost 50 years. Anyway, I am a patriot and a conservative Republican, and I'm a fighter. And I'm going to go down to the State House, where I already have many relationships already sorry, thank you.
Durant, you're ready. 4 minutes. Press the button, look for the green. On the back side. Down the bottom. Just press this. Hey, you're looking.
Good evening, everyone. I'm sure you're going to pay me more attention than the other candidates because I have an accent that is difficult to understand. I've been in Atlanta, Georgia for the last 35 years, but still working on picking up on my southern accent. My children born and brought up here, so they got the southern accent, but I never got I was never successful and I got never graduated from that. But still working on it. One day maybe hopefully I will be speaking to you in your language. My story is a typical immigrant story. I studied BS Economics and also have a law degree in India, and I had a state job. But still I was not happy. We were living in a socialistic economy in those days. Somehow I always felt like I was suffocating myself. So then I came to this country to study MBA in Indiana, and I joined in the summer, nice weather in summer, but didn't know that the weather will be totally different in the winter. And there was so much snow. Till then, I never saw snow in my life other than in Indian movies and foreign movies. Here I am walking knee-deep snow every night, 1 mile to my apartment, and morning again 1 mile to the school. It was very difficult days for me. I was sitting and crying many times, thinking that why did I do this? Why I came? I left a nice job and all that. But I know at the end of the tunnel there is a beautiful light, because I already know what is America can offer. If anything in this world, a country which truly offers equal opportunity, that is USA. And in those days when I was in school, still Reagan was in his first term president, second year of the first term, and he used to talk about family values, faith, entrepreneurship, hard work, and all these things. And I used to think, these are the same values my parents taught me in India. So how is that most of the Indian Americans are on the Democratic Party side? I could not figure it out. But I decided to myself that one day when I am financially stable, that I will be only going into the Republican Party. So I moved to Georgia after my graduation, and now it is 35 years. Then in 1990, when Senior Bush was running for the re-election, I got involved with his campaign, and I raised money for him. After that, I never quit. I was doing all the presidential campaigns, gubernatorial campaigns, and the congressional campaigns and senatorial campaigns. Everywhere I was there. For that, in return, I got to go to the Republican National Conventions in 2004 as a delegate, and in 2008 as an alternate delegate. And also, the most honorable thing happened to me was in 2004, governor and party leadership put me as a electoral college member. Electoral college member is a great honor even now, because they are the one who really elect the president. So I had those kind of opportunities. Business-wise, I started my real estate business 30 years ago, and I became very successful in that. But in 1995, we started a national bank, me and 4 other Indian American friends. It is still there in Suwannee. You will love it. The story of success of this bank is from 1995 to now. Now it is $628 million in assets and 70 full-time employees. And more of my story comes through the questions and answers. I'm running out of the time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Narendra. Jill Trammell.
Thank you, Tom, and thank you to the Medlock Bridge Debate Series for giving us this opportunity. My name is Jill Trammell. I'm running for State House here in District 50, Johns Creek area. I'm pleased to be in front of you today with this opportunity. I've been involved with politics most of my life. I grew up in Southern California, in a Republican area near Camp Pendleton, California, with lots of military families, and even my aunt to this day still runs the Republican Women in that area. I'm a member of the Republican Women of Forsyth County and Fulton County, and I've been a lifelong Republican. In fact, I am the only one in this race who's a lifelong Republican. I'm also a Christian. So my values have never faded. They've never changed. They've remained the same, and that's why I'm here today. Republican values aren't what they used to be. After the 2020 election, I was, like many of you, very disappointed. And I got off my couch and said, I'm tired of complaining, I'm going to do something about it. So I joined the Republican Women. I also decided to run for a GOP position and tried to help others drain the swamp. So I was also the secretary and the first vice chairman of Forsyth County GOP. While I was there, I started the Election Integrity Action Committees. I was inspired by the time that I had working with the Fulton GOP as a poll watcher during the Senate runoff. I witnessed many irregularities. I had 4 affidavits that went to the legal teams, and I helped collect affidavits from folks to get to the right legal departments. I was so utterly disappointed at the lack of urgency and understanding of election integrity by our own GOP and the RNC that I decided that I was going to get even further involved. So here I am in District 50. I got married a little over a year ago to my wonderful husband, my handsome husband, Craig, who's a Navy veteran and has been raising kids in this area for 20 years. I raised my children in Forsyth County, but often did a lot of work over the county lines. We're 150 feet from Forsyth County. One of the major things that I did there for the community was to start a stabilization and assessment center for at-risk youth, boys aged 12 to 18. It's the Bald Ridge Lodge. It's a stabilization and assessment center, which is a model program based on the issues that I brought up with having shelters that don't serve all the needs of our children. So my background is not only in small business. As a business consultant today, I've run my own small business for over 10 years called Patriot Promotions, which helps veterans and other Patriot organizations get their word out, both PR and marketing. And prior to that, I worked for the state of Georgia in the Department of Developmental Disabilities and Addictive Diseases and Mental Health. So I know very acutely how desperate we are to help our children, those with developmental disabilities, and those with addictive diseases here in Georgia. So I'm looking forward tonight to answering some questions about HB 1013 and other issues that we're facing today that are extremely important. Because just like in election integrity, we have to go back and look at what happened, fix what's broken, but we also have to vote. We need to move forward. And I look forward to learning more about what your needs are here in District 50.
Stay standing. So Jill will have the first question. I've gotten about 8 versions of this, so we're going to try this version. Okay, I'll condense it into one. What makes you uniquely qualified to represent Johns Creek and House District 50 at the State House?
I'm uniquely qualified because I know how to establish relationships and keep them. I have lots of relationships down at the State House as well. I've spoken to several folks in the State Senate as well as the House of Representatives. And I can uniquely serve our needs by being able to work together, create coalitions, and bring the necessities that we need to District 50.
What makes you uniquely qualified to represent Johns Creek and House District 50 in the Georgia State House?
I lived in this area for 30 years. My children went to Woodward Academy in the North Fulton. The reason we sent in those days was the schools were not that good in 30 years ago. And today, both my daughters are doctors, practicing medicine. One is OBGYN, the other one is a plastic surgeon. What uniquely qualified me is my business experience, my entrepreneurial experience, because we started a bank 25 years ago that is working very well, meeting the needs of all the community members, particularly small businesses, small business administrations. Business means meeting people, bringing the groups together, making the deals. Legislation, in the capital also the same thing. It's no different from that. You need to work out with every kind of legislator, whether you agree with them or not. You have to make some kind of coalitions and agreements with them, but get the top thing done. Other than that, if you think that just because we are a local citizen for a long time, we can accomplish, it's not going to happen. You have to have the real business experience that you can combine with your political experience to achieve something at the capital. Because we don't want to go there and just come back after 2 years not accomplishing anything. My special thing is I have the access to the governor's office, speaker's office, and all the leaders. That will work for me. And if I need to get as a freshman, I may not be able to get a lot of things done, but with my access to the top leadership, I can get a lot more things done. I'm very confident I will provide a very good leadership at House District 50. Thank you.
You want me to repeat?
Sure.
Betsy, what makes you uniquely qualified to represent Johns Creek in the House District 50 at the Georgia State House?
What makes me uniquely qualified, oh, sorry, I have a frog in my voice, is that I am a 22-year resident of Johns Creek. I've been here way before it was even thought of being a city. I've been here when we first elected and voted to be a city and put in different things around the city. I was there when we got rid of the sex shop over behind QT and on State Bridge and Jones Bridge. I've seen this. I've been working with the elected officials. I also, you might say that you have relationships down at the State House, but I've been involved in the Republican Party for over a decade, and I have a lot of relationships. I have relationships with the governor and other people. I have relationships with people up in D.C. But that's just one avenue. But I have a proven record as a fighter in the Republican Party. So I look at myself as uniquely qualified because I have the business background, I have the political background, and I've been doing this for a long time. And you know, I've been voting in Fulton County. One of my candidate opponents has never voted in Fulton County, and nor does this person hasn't voted in a primary in a long time. So please consider that my qualifications. Thank you.
Miranda, you're up. So the second question, I've seen this in about 5 versions, so we're going to go with this. What is your stance if House Speaker Ralston is up for speakership again? Would you support or look to replace?
There are 100 plus Republican delegates, Republican representatives in the House. For any person, it will be difficult to get a unanimous support from all the 100 plus delegates. Ralston, I know what he did, how he is leading this group, but this will become a hypothetical question. The reason being, actually I'm not even elected yet, and there is one more year term. We don't know whether he will be still there when I goes to the Capitol. So these are hypothetical questions that cannot be answered accurately. Ralston, whatever he does, whatever he says, is the current legislators have to decide first, because they got almost like 9 more months' time. If they want to take him, they let him take him out. If they want to keep him, they can keep him there if they are so happy with him. So I'm not going to make a comment on that kind of hypothetical questions. Thank you.
Betsy, I'll repeat it. What is your stance if Speaker Ralston is up for speakership again? Would you support or look to replace?
Well, I'm going to basically agree with Miranda. That's a hypothetical question, and it's hard to answer. We don't know who's going to be for speaker, but this, you know, Speaker Ralston is a very powerful man. So I can't say what is, you know, how I would vote, and it's up to, I'm just one vote. So, like I said, it's hypothetical, and that's all I can say.
Jill, you need me to repeat it?
Sure.
What is your stance if Speaker Ralston is up for the speakership again? Would you support or look to replace?
I know what my constituents want. I would look to replace. Currently, Ralston has a lot of power in the House, which is sometimes wielded for good and sometimes wielded for evil. I'm going to represent the people that I talk with in District 50, and they unanimously, as far as I'm concerned, do not want Ralston if the opportunity arises. Thank you.
This question I have about 4 times, so let me ask this. Do you support saving girls' sports to disallow opposite genders to participate in girls' sports?
That's a great question. Let me tell you, I grew up in the 60s and the 70s, and Title IX was something that I sort of missed because I was older than when it came about. But it was that to me was women were finally being considered for sports. I used to play hockey with the guys, and then when I got to be in high school, we had a girls hockey team. Unfortunately, I didn't take it up. But to me, what's going on right now is destroying Title IX, that we worked so hard in the 60s and the 70s to make women equal. So I don't believe that transgender people, women or men, should play against biological women and men. Let's have another category, other. I don't think it's as important for transgendered men to play against men, but it's the transgender women that really upsets me because we work so hard to get equal rights. So, thank you.
Narendra, I'll repeat it. Do you support saving girls' sports to disallow opposite genders to participate in girls' sports?
Absolutely, I'm against that because if boy or girl, when they're born, they are the boy or girl, that's it. Whatever other changes they make themselves through medical surgeries and all that, their problem. For that sake, we should not be killing the competition of the girls and women in the sports or in any other aspect. So I'm totally against giving any kind of privilege or specialty or special status to the transgenders.
And Jill, do you support saving girls' sports to disallow opposite genders to participate in girls' sports?
I do, and it's interesting that we're even talking about this in this day and age. It's just a testimonial to how the narrative has been changed by the liberal progressives that we're fighting against to keep our values. House Bill 345 has passed. I've watched our soon-to-be opponent in the general election, Michelle Au, stand up and try to bring that down. The main point she had that made sense was so unimpressive. It was basically that if, like, I was the high school varsity soccer goalie, for example, and if I wanted boys to kick balls at me for practice, that wasn't going to be allowed. I mean, these are the arguments we're having at the State House. Can't we think of something better? I would absolutely oppose any bill that would allow transgender folks to play against each other in sports.
Narendra, you're up. So the question is, I've got about 3 versions of this. Do you support elimination of the state income tax? And if so, how would you replace that revenue?
My answer would be, I don't know which version it is, but still my answer would be, eliminating the state income tax is not like just you pass a legislation, it is going to disappear. It is a 43%, in a state, a personal income tax is a 43% of the state budget, almost like 14 billion. So we have to do such things in a gradual manner. You cannot just overnight go and make a legislation, we are eliminating all the income tax. But then what happens to all the roads, buildings, water plants, sewer systems, all the infrastructure? Who is going to build? Where that $14 billion is going to come? So we cannot make this kind of situations we cannot find a solution based on politics. We need to find a solution based on the economy. Economic solutions are the one that can answer this kind of question. I support eliminating the tax if somebody can show me overnight that we can bring this $14 billion from other sources. But what I recommend is slashing the income tax by step. Let us say 1% this year, 1.5% next year. In the process, we can find alternate sources, like maybe taxing on the services. We don't tax services that much in this state of Georgia. So those kind of ideas. Also, we have to find new resources, new avenues where we can raise the money before we can say eliminate the income tax. Eliminate the income tax becomes a very good slogan, but practically not a value, not a possible thing. So let us work on with economists and people in other states who did eliminate the taxes in like Texas and Florida and Tennessee, because we can't even raise the sales tax also immediately 9% to 20%. So we have to think carefully before we do this. I support the slashing the income tax to all the businesses and individuals. Thank you.
Jill, I think you're up now. We can continue going around. Do you support elimination of the state income tax? And if so, how will you replace that revenue?
I would say my first inclination is to say I love that idea. We're all tired of paying our state income taxes at the level that just keeps going up. We also have a current, we've supplied our savings, our state savings, and now we have an overage. Governor Kemp has promised that we're going to be getting back $500 to I think $5,000 per household from the overage that he says is not necessary in our reserves, but he's going to give it back to the people. So that's a wonderful thing when we have more than what we need here in the state. However, I believe that we need to start cutting our federal monies anywhere we can. In order to keep sovereignty here in Georgia, we need to eliminate the strings that are attached with federal dollars. So I would want to look at different federal programs to see where we could cut those ties and fund them ourselves with the state tax. If not, I would say we would replace it with a fair tax program.
Betsy, do you support elimination of the state income tax? And if so, how will you replace that revenue?
Well, I've been talking about this for a while. I believe in not recreating a wheel, and there are 9 states that do not have state income tax. So I would suggest that we create a committee that goes out and looks at each state and how they actually do it, because every state's a little bit different. But we take the best of all those 9 states and we can implement it. Now, that said, our state income tax there is a bill in the House or in the Senate, I can't remember which one it is, that is being tried to be passed. Good, speak right. Is trying to be passed where our state income tax will be reduced by 0.5%. A couple of years ago, it was reduced to 0.5%. So it's not going to be like snap your fingers and it's going to be disappeared. It would be over a period of time where the state would reduce taxes. And it is a doable thing, and it would make us competitive with those other 9 states. And I really do believe it's something that we can look at. In regards to taking federal money with strings, that's a totally different subject, and you have to look at it separately. So anyway, I do think it's a doable project. There are many people currently in the legislature, and there are people that are running that are interested in doing that. Thank you.
Okay, now Jill, you're up. Sorry to be confusing. You were just going around. Okay, this will be a surprise from who this question is from. With stormwater runoff a major problem in every county in Georgia, would you support establishing a Georgia State Stormwater Authority?
That's a loaded question coming from him, isn't it? Yes, I would. I think, number one, environmentalism is important to the state of Georgia for our tourism, for our quality of life, and for our income. We have to take back the narrative when it comes to the environment. The Democrats are not the only ones who care. So yes, I would absolutely want to establish that initiative, because in the state of Georgia, we don't have any natural water tables, number one. Number two, we have granite and clay type soil that makes it difficult for water to absorb and create tables. We have no natural made lakes. For the most part, everything's been done by the Army Corps of Engineers. And we continue to have more pollution in those lakes than we can handle. We can't eat out of Lake Lanier, okay? So I would absolutely say yes, we need to establish a committee and a coalition that includes environmental protection agents who are retired, because they will offer their pro bono work for us to help us solve these important issues.
with stormwater runoff, a major problem in every county in Georgia. What